This week in Nintendomain, Nintendo gives out the details for its online service, and we have a special guest, Nate Lockheart here from Memory Machine Podcast.
Hey, a Bible game. Thanks, Grandma.
Welcome to Nintendomain Podcast, episode 120. We are your hosts. 120. Yeah, we are at 120 now. Look at that. There's a joke in there somewhere that I can't think of.
There's got to be a Bible verse. 120.
Yeah, I'm sure there is a lot of them.
Spoiler alert.
And we are your hosts. I'm Trey, getting an upgrade this week, Johnson.
And I'm Jereme, Father Abraham Mikowski.
And I'm Nathaniel Computer Bible Games Lockhart.
Oh yeah, we have a guest here. We said it in the very top, but Nathaniel Lockhart here from Memory Machine Podcast.
Howdy.
We met him at the Midwest Gaming Classic. So
dude,
it's very nice to have you on the show officially. We had good fun drink times with Bob Mackey and you sure and the rest of the fans and all that, and we had a good time talking about different stuff. And I just listened to your show earlier. It's cool. I like it. I dig it.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Talked about Billy Mitchell. Talked about
yeah, Billy Mitchell. You guys
Christian ska a little bit.
You guys are a lot.
Yes, we did.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say you guys are a lot meaner to Billy Mitchell than we've been on this show.
Oh yeah.
From what I've heard, you're straight up fuck that guy.
I do not believe he actually even played those games. I think someone else recorded them for him.
Well, no, I mean,
there's nothing to say that he didn't.
Did you watch his? Did you watch his video about? I think you mentioned it.
Oh yeah.
Where he's like, there's evidence and blah blah blah. Yeah,
his Twitter is kind of word salad.
Yeah.
Well, he has This was a news item that I had, but he started a Twitch. Like, he has a Twitch channel yet, but there has yet to be any sort of footage on there, any sort of game playing. But I did follow him on Twitch, so I'm waiting for it. Yeah, right. It's like
sip my tea.
Yeah.
As you sip your tea.
Yeah.
But it says something like, "Oh, I don't need Twitch," or I don't need Twitch. I can play whenever and get these scores." Blah blah blah. Billy Mitchell's a fun guy. he's
what up or shut up?
Yeah, he's something. But yeah, no, I thought it was funny that he has a Twitch channel now. Like, hey man, I mean, he's already got more followers than I do, so hey, why not?
Yeah, well,
if he wants to play some,
have that celebrity.
If he wants to play MAME really well on there, then he can do it.
Yeah,
I don't think they would care. So what we do on the show at the beginning is we always talk about our purchases or what games that we've been playing for the week.
Mm-hmm.
I can go first because, and I think Jeremy's probably in the same boat as me. We've both been kind of broke, so there hasn't been much purchasing going on this end. But I did get paid for like one of the last jobs I did, so I did end up getting an upgrade for my computer. I bought like a new, it's not here yet, but I bought new RAM for my laptop, so that's why I said upgrade as my middle name, even though I thought of a better one after that. But it's fine.
So you can put RAM into an app. I thought you needed to have someone else do that for you. Are you going to do it yourself?
No, you can do it. I mean, you can pay somebody to do it, but it looks pretty easy. I watched videos on it online.
Cool.
Yeah, you just take the bottom off and just put these little things in there. It's not like soldering or anything. You just pop it in.
Some RAM sticks. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like more like RAM tables or whatever. They're like flat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I ordered that as an upgrade, so that's cool. Because my computer's like 4 gigs, so it's pretty slow. But I'm like taking it up to 16, so we'll see how that goes.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's what I'm running right now on my PC that I'm using right now for all this.
I mean, 16 seemed like a good thing to do from what I heard.
Yeah.
So I'm mostly doing it for Twitch stuff that I've been doing to try to make it work better.
Yeah.
Because I have problems with the game capture that I'm using right now, where it like drops audio sometimes, which is really annoying. But
for sure.
But yeah, so and just like editing can be slower than it should be sometimes. Because of like when it takes like 30 seconds to delete one like millisecond of audio, it's really annoying. So so that type of thing. But that was my big purchase for the week. There's stuff coming up on Thursday that I'm going to end up getting and playing on Twitch tomorrow. So we'll talk about that when we get to the release stuff. But for stuff that I played, I beat Skies of Arcadia last night. So that's awesome.
I saw that on Twitter.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to jump into the stream there, but
so was
congratulations.
Was it 17 episodes?
20. It ended up being 20 total.
Yeah. 20 flat.
The nice round number of 20. No, I was going to call myself Trey the Legend or like Trey Vice the Swashbuckler or something. That would have been a better middle name for me because, you get like you get a different name depending on how well you do in the game, like your name changes. So like when you look at the options, it'll say like Vice like if you run away from a lot of battles, it'll say like Vice the Coward and stuff like that. And if you beat everything, like and find every treasure, you can become Vice the Legend, which finding every single treasure chest in the whole game is ridiculous. I just can't even, cause there's some of them you can't go back and get if you don't get it the first time. So I didn't even try to do all that stuff. Cause there is like more extra things that were added. That was DLC, I guess, in the Dreamcast originally. That was added to the GameCube one. But did you ever play that game, Nate?
No, I never did. I think my brother had one of those games, and so maybe like I watched him play it a little bit. I never really, throughout my gaming history, I was never contemporary with anything happening. I was always at least a generation behind, even as my brothers owned the more modern one. Mm-hmm.
Were you ever, were you an RPG fan at all or no?
Oh yeah. I loved RPGs, but while my brother was playing, kinds of arcade or whatever, I was digging into like, Dragon Quest 3.
Oh, okay.
So,
well, Dragon Quest 3 is great, so that's fine.
Much more traditional route.
Do you have that? Did you play it on the NES straight up? Do you have that cartridge? Or were you playing it on Game Boy?
I had played on Game Boy Color. I had it on Game Boy Color, and I played it that way.
Yeah, I have the Game Boy Color one, and I actually found, we mentioned it on our Midwest Gaming one, but they had all of the Dragon Quest games there, like 2, 3, and 4 different people were selling.
For NES?
Yeah, they're all like over $100, so it's
too
they're
ridiculous.
But I would love, like in a perfect world when I have a bunch of money, I would love to get the rest of those Dragon Quest games. Because I have one. I have the free one that I got from Nintendo Power. I have that one. And I did play through all of it recently, like a couple of years ago. But
I did that too, actually.
Yeah.
I played it on an emulator, and I like quadrupled the speed on it. And because playing it now with
what a good idea.
Games now
about doing that.
So you cheated
so
then, that's what you're saying.
It's so slow.
Right?
So I quadrupled the speed and I beat it in like a day. It was fun. It was a fun experience.
You cheated then, is basically what you're saying, right?
It's not cheating, it's time travel.
Yeah, no, actually, I mean, if you play like the Japanese, because it was re-released on Super Nintendo in Japan, like there's a cartridge that has Dragon Quest 1 and 2 on it, and 3 as a separate one. Or you get the Game Boy games, the Game Boy Color / regular Game Boy games, they're on there as well. And you don't have to kill as many slimes, like on your way to the Dragon Lord and all that. But I played through it all the way, like on the system, and I did it in a couple days too. It's not super long. You just gotta fight a lot of battles, but it's I really enjoyed the simplicity of it. I think that's why I really liked it. It's just like, it's basically like just go out and try to see how long you can go without dying and try to make enough money to buy a better sword and then come back. And that's basically what the whole game is, and it's, I like that.
It lets you save whenever, right?
No.
In the Game Boy one, it lets you save, but only save and quit, I think is what it was.
Yeah. No.
The Game Boy Color ones.
It basically works like most of the Dragon Quests do, where you save at the church with the priest. I
mean, the thing is if you go into Dragon Quest now, like Dragon Quest 1 or 2, it would feel really hard, I think, compared to, what you might expect out of JRPGs today. But if you look at what its contemporaries were, things like Ultima or Wizardry, and you realize like Dragon Quest actually is really easy compared to those games that were out there, because those games are brutal.
Oh yeah. Well, one of the best things about Dragon Quest is like when you die, you don't have to start over. You just lose half your money. That's like what's the greatest thing of that. You just lose half your money, which sucks.
Whereas
if
in
you're
Wizardry,
trying to,
like you are dead. You're dead. You have to start all the way over if you die.
Yeah, which sucks. And Final Fantasy does that too, where it's like where you have to restart from wherever you saved last. But that's what I like about Dragon Quest is you can kind of just throw yourself into things and just feel it out. And if you die, you lose half your money, which sucks if you're really trying to save for whatever new sword or or shield or whatever. But it's better than having to start back. So that makes it a lot more forgiving.
Yeah, actually, in Wizardry, it's not that you start from your last save. In the original computer game of Wizardry, when you die, your character is just dead, and you can pay to try to bring them back to life.
Oh.
But there's a 50-50 chance that your character will just turn to ash and then that's it forever.
Oh, it's
that
just one or
gone.
You can't try it like more than once. It's like you either get it or you don't, and then you're done.
You either get it or you don't.
Wow, that sounds like a game that I would love. I'm kidding. Yeah. I mean, I might like it kind of. I don't know. I'd like to try it, I guess, at some point. But yeah, no, that's crazy. That's kind of like roguelike almost, right? Pretty much, where it's like you just go through and then it's done. Right? You know, way
with
before
way more
that
loading
was
times,
hardcore mode,
more strict D&D rules.
Way before that was an overused term, roguelikes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you, did you buy anything for the week, Nate? Have you made any video game purchases or played anything
I didn't buy any games, but, I bought some components. I have a Tandy color computer too that I've been working with. And, it's been having some funky color problems. Apparently I won't get too into this technical side of it, but I had to buy an extra 555 timer and a geranium diode so I could solder that in there, try to fix it.
Where do you buy stuff like that from? Working. I mean, I'm sure you had to order it online, right? Special order from wherever.
Oh yeah. The Radio Shacks around here are all gone.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's not any Radio Shacks anymore. So where do you get diodes and whatever else you use it for?
Yeah.
Diodes.com, man.
Well, I went to Jameco. I have no idea how to pronounce it. Never had to say it out loud.
Wow.
But that's where I went to get. And then I got some things too for I'm working on a Raspberry Pi build. So
cool.
Bought a couple things for that.
I'm trying to get my Raspberry Pi to work again. I have one.
Yeah.
And I put it in this.
Let me see that Pi.
Did you try to put it in a real Pi? Because that always.
I put it in this case because I think somebody posted it on Reddit, and it's cool because you get to keep all your ports,
nice
things inside of it. But after I put it in here, I can't get it to work anymore. I have to reinstall all the software onto the cards, I think, again. But at one point I had the emulator working.
The RetroPie?
Yeah, I just had RetroPie running, and then I had it to where all of my games were loading off of a thumb drive, which was cool, but I think you can set it up to where you can have it upload the games off your server or your computer as a server, which I've never been able to do, but I know people that have done it.
That's fascinating. I hadn't tried that.
Are you making it as an emulator or?
This one I think I'm going to do as an emulator. Yeah. I have a couple of them. One of them is a little media player that I have in the bedroom. Oh, okay. In fact, my wife is falling asleep to King of the Hill on it right now.
Oh, nice.
Are they the threes that you use?
Yeah, 3.
Yeah, that's what
the Pi 3s. No, they're really nice. They're fun. They're fun to mess around with.
I've got Raspbian.
Yeah.
I think it's the
OS
I have, right. So I've gotten that up and running, but I haven't really done much with it because I have a computer.
Well, while I was saving up for the computer that I have right now in the living room, I was using a Raspberry Pi just as a stopgap until I could afford my desktop build.
Oh, wow.
And it works fine. If all you want to do is, email and stream YouTube at 720p and, do word processing. Does
so you weren't doing video editing or anything on it?
No.
You weren't doing any streaming or whatnot?
No, heavens no.
I want you to do some streaming with that,
just need a bunch of fans.
Yeah, right. When you overclock it to like 35 times.
I want you to do some streaming of that TI-99 Christian games that you said you had. I want you to find that.
I didn't get time to do that, but we'll get into that.
Find a way for that to work somehow and get that on Twitch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I would watch that for a little bit.
Yeah. You'd watch it for about 2 minutes, then you'd realize there's not much here. This is a basic game on a computer from 1979.
Watch it for 2 minutes, hit follow, click host. There you go. Just play it right off yours.
Easy.
Yeah. Did you get anything for this week, Jeremy?
I did not. I went to Disc Replay and hoped they'd have something today, but I didn't find anything I wanted.
Sure.
Is that the local store by you guys?
It is, and they have a very small GameCube section, but that's what I'm really into right now. So every time I go there, it's just inside the door on the right. So I walk in, curve to the right real quick, look at the GameCube games. They had some new ones today, but nothing that I cared about. And then I run over to where the Game Boys are, see if they have any AGS 101s.
Yeah.
They sell them for super cheap there.
What's the GameCube market looking like now? Are they skyrocketing like they are pretty much everywhere else in video games, or?
No. I think they're still niche enough that, and there were many of the games made.
You mean
so I'm not seeing any rare games here. I'm just seeing Like the last game I bought that I thought was cool, that was pretty cheap, is Geist. I've been playing through that a little bit, but like, I got Paper Mario for, what did I say, $27 or something like that.
Yeah, that's good.
Cheap. Oh, that's not bad.
It was disc only.
Yeah.
But
yeah, who cares?
I like, my GameCube a lot. I bought an HD adapter for it, so.
Nice.
Ever since I got that, I've been like on a GameCube kick. And I also bought a Game Boy player last fall, so now I can play all my Game Boy games on it too in HD.
Yeah,
those things are awesome.
I love the Game Boy player. That was like my favorite thing at the time. I think I've mentioned it on the show, but it was so cool that it came out and it's like it plays everything on your TV, even like
Golden Sun on my TV. Wow.
Yeah, or like the Game Boy camera, outside. Or like Wario, or like WarioWare Twisted. Like I played those on the GameCube too. It was fun. Where you play with the GameCube. The GameCube is your controller. It was great.
Yeah.
I just play American Idol exclusively.
Yeah, that's your.
Oh man,
that game is amazing.
That's an incredible. Have you ever? I mean, obviously you've seen it, Trey. Jared, have you seen that, Trey? What the footage is from that game?
Yeah, I watched it. Jereme did like a Let's Play thing of it on YouTube, and I watched.
I did.
I watched it on there, and it's amazing. It's like so awfully, horribly amazing, and I think I laughed out loud.
Incredible.
Yeah.
What kind of sucks is between like I didn't really edit the video very much, but between recording the video and playing the game and like watching movies or watching YouTube videos about it before, now whenever I hear any of those songs in my head, I hear
like
of, like,
that
the bad singing. Right, and then I want to do it. But I know that nobody around me is going to understand why I'm doing it, and they're just going to be like,
"Doesn't matter.
What the fuck?
Doesn't matter. They don't need to understand, man. You understand,
especially
and that's all that
matters. The Whitney Houston dance with somebody.
Yeah,
I want to do that so bad every time that song plays.
I wish you should do that at a karaoke bar sometime and just see what everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like
that one guy that understands you.
This guy with one eye in the back table, smoking a cigar for some reason.
I've heard that game before.
I mean, you'd be surprised. Like
that game.
I mean, there's
it's
people
buried in my backyard still.
Yeah.
There's people who go to karaoke bars and do that whole like sing the first line of the song through the whole song. So, people actually do that. So it's so I think singing like American Idol GBA isn't that much weirder than that.
Exclusively
so
American Idol
totally do
GBA karaoke.
Just make sure and let everybody know. This is Whitney Houston in the style of American Idol GBA.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
I mean, it's a niche market, The best way to be the top of your game is to create the game, So I gotta start a YouTube channel dedicated to that.
Yeah.
I would watch it. I'd watch at least 2 minutes of it.
Moderately successful.
Yeah.
I say follow your dream.
Keyword.
Yeah.
Don't give up, man.
If nothing else, you guys will have something to laugh at.
That's right.
It's true. And that's really what it's all about.
Success on any level.
Have something to laugh at.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Do you guys want to jump to the news then? If we talked about the games for the week.
Yeah.
I don't think I played, I don't think I got anything last week either, cause I was
broke.
As
far as playing stuff, I finally got gold and all the cups up through all the 150 on Mario Kart on the Switch.
Yeah.
Now I'm working on mirror mode, but I'm trying to get gold and everything. I don't know if you've gotten gold and everything yet, but.
I did on the Wii U.
You did?
Mario Kart 8, yeah. Well, not 200 cc. Not 200, but everything else. 200 was a super hard one. But, we played Splatoon. We did the, Raphael versus, Leo thing on Friday.
Oh.
We played that. Do you know who won? I was trying to figure out who won. Like I restarted the game and it didn't say.
Raphael won.
He did? I figured he did.
Raphael.
Pretty sure Raphael won.
Yeah. And we'll be doing another one this Friday too, for Donatello versus Michelangelo, so.
Ooh.
I'm on Donnie's. I'm all Donnie, so that's me. But I mean, it'll be interesting because, people like Michelangelo.
Yeah.
That's
where my son is. He's a Michelangelo guy.
Oh yeah. I heard he was getting into the turtle stuff now.
Oh my God. It's everything to him. He has so much of this stuff.
I wish I knew you guys before, when you like came up here to Chicago, you like pretty much came right to my neighborhood. Like I live over there by all those places you talked about.
Oh yeah, Bric-a-Brac and,
there was a place that you missed. Well,
Reckless Records and Emporium Arcade.
Yeah. Well, I live really close to the Logan Square Emporium Arcade, but I know where all those places are you went to. But, one place you missed that you probably didn't know about is a place called Toy de Jour on Western. So next time you come to Chicago, you should go there. And it's like an all-out used toy place. And it's awesome. Like you would have found a shitload of Turtles toys in there. It's great. Like I bought a lot of like Nintendo toys there, and I bought a lot of like 90s Marvel Comics toys there too, and like others. They have a lot of like loose toys and like some sealed, but they're not super expensive, and they post everything online. It's cool. Like I found a lot of really cool stuff there. So
I have Trey bought me a statue of the Phantom Knight from what was that? Phantom Hourglass.
Yeah, one of the little Zelda toys from there. Didn't you get a Metroid Prime shirt from there too?
That's where I got that shirt. I was trying to remember the other day.
Yeah, they have some T-shirts too.
Folding it up.
It's all kind of like it's kind of random stuff, and they have like they have artists. They'll have like art topics or whatever. They'll be like, oh, a bunch of people do art based on aliens or whatever, and so there'll be all like paintings and stuff that you can buy for really expensive in there too. But I found a lot of really cool stuff there. So it's a cool place to check out. But I haven't really gone to Bric-a-Brac, but that sounded cool from what you guys seen it. But I've driven by it / walked by it a billion times. But yeah, there's a lot of cool like places to go like that in Chicago.
Oh yeah. I love checking out all that stuff up there, like along Milwaukee. Me and my buddy Drew, who's on the other podcast, he loves going up around there. Our wives, however, are a little less enthused that we like something so much on the north side because they're I guess big Southsiders. So.
Well, you're more you're actually really not that far north side on Milwaukee where you were. I did hear that, and I was like, wait, no, you're not on the north side. No, I mean you're like just a little bit northwest of downtown. It's like where that area is. North side's like Roscoe Village, like Ravenswood, like that stuff. But it's kind of more like just a little bit west. But it's where all the cool stuff is, I guess. I mean, it's where everything's getting overly crowded with giant apartment buildings and all that fun stuff, and where people like me might be getting priced out eventually. But,
Yeah.
But it'd be cool if,
you get streets like that around Buffalo. Where a bunch of cool stuff, and then all of a sudden people with money start to realize it's the place with all the cool stuff, and then they all move in, and then everyone else has to move out. And,
well, what really sucks is when the cool stuff gets knocked down and turned into a condo building. That seems to be happening a lot here. It's like, man, this place is really cool.
Oh, wait. On Elmwood here in Buffalo. Yeah. All the cool stuff is finding a new street.
Yeah. Or it's just it's basically getting turned into condos, just getting knocked down. And your favorite bars disappear and become like some other shitty bar, some shitty cocktail bar, which sucks. Your favorite dive bars get bought out and become new shitty cocktail bars. But I digress. So, enough of the city talk there. But no, it was cool that you went to a lot of places that I've been to though,
Oh yeah, no,
it's nice. I was like, I know those places.
My wife's from Chicago, so we go up there frequently, and it's fun to explore the city and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool arcade bars and just weird. I mean,
you guys are lousy with them. I'm so jealous. Like in Buffalo, there aren't any arcade bars.
There are no arcade bars. There's like 30 here.
I know.
Seriously, they're everywhere.
So you don't have any in Buffalo at all? Like in the whole
there is one place called Pocketeer Billiards, and it has, a bunch of pool tables, but it also has, I think, like 30 plus pinball machines, but only pinball machines.
Yeah.
Wow. No video games.
I felt like I had it bad, but I think Buffalo's a bigger town than where I live.
Yeah, it's fine. It's a mid-sized city.
Because there's nothing in Champaign.
There's things to do.
It's over 1 million, right?
Over 1 million? Yeah, it's over 1 million people.
Yeah.
In the Buffalo metro area. Yeah.
I'm living in like a 200,000 region.
We have Niagara Falls.
Well, there you go.
Nice. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
There's a fucking shuffleboard bar. I mean, for crying out loud. Actually, I have a friend who works at a shuffleboard bar in Wicker Park, and I'm like, why? I'm like, because Chicago,
Yeah.
They do weird pop-ups about everything. Apparently a Fortnite bar just popped up, so there you go. I did play a little bit of that game. That's not Nintendo, but I did try to play.
You should go hang out there and see if Drake shows up.
Yeah, right.
There you go.
I did play a little bit of the Avengers stuff on there, but because they have like you can become Thanos on Fortnite. I'd played some of that. I still don't think it's that great, but
did you play it on PS4?
Yeah, I finally figured out how to do it without getting the PlayStation Plus. There's like a whole workaround thing.
I played it the one time that I told you I did.
I understand why you didn't play it that much, because like it's really easy to die, and then it's just done. And it's like, oh yeah, you got 70th place. And I'm like, okay, cool, thanks. Just start over again. And then you die again. Better. Yeah, I think PUBG is better.
But I gave up on PUBG too.
But speaking of those type of games, what's it called? Crazy Justice for the Switch. has like a release window now. We're going to jump to the news.
Yeah, please.
There's a game called Crazy Justice. It's a battlegrounds type game that got kickstarted for the Switch, and it's coming out in June now. There's not a date for it, but it's supposed to come out in that month. So add it to the pile of all the games I want to get in June. So just throw it on there with Wolfenstein 2 and Tennis and Ease 8 and all that other fun stuff. But yeah, they put a release time out for that, so that's cool. You have the Wii U? Yeah, I know you said that before, Nate. This is my own segue. Have you heard that Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze has been removed from the Wii U? They
really?
They delisted it from the Wii Shop, which is just kind of like such a kind of a sly, shitty thing from Nintendo.
Seems really slimy. Uh-huh.
Yeah, but well, because they're selling it for $60 now on the Switch. It came out last week. We talked about that, and it was going for $20 on Wii U. So everybody's like, oh, well, all butthurt about it being like 60 and 20 and all that. And Nintendo just kind of very slyly just like takes it off the eShop. It's like, nope, they can't get that one anymore.
They got a physical release for the Wii U, didn't it?
Yeah, no, it did. But
it was the greatest hits.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
So that's why it's at the 20. But I thought it was kind of funny that they just delisted it from the eShop though on the Wii U side. They're just like, let's forget that this came out. Like maybe nobody will notice. And I couldn't believe it. I actually booted up my Wii U last night just to make sure that it wasn't there, and yeah, it is in fact gone. So, you can buy it. You can probably buy it cheaper than 20, like physical, and all that.
Yeah.
And did you get that one or did you not?
I only have one full release for the Wii U, and that is Mario Maker.
Oh, you don't even
have
a
lot of Mario Maker, and then I downloaded some other little titles. Like I got Castlevania Aria of Sorrow and Zero Mission, Metroid Zero Mission, and
when those Castlevanias came to the Wii U, that's pretty much like what pushed me over the edge when I finally bought one. Just because I was
Castlevanias are just
and they're so great on the gamepad. Works great for that. Like that's my favorite. That was probably my favorite thing on the Wii U was playing those 3 games on the gamepad, which I didn't play all the way through Circle of the Moon, but I played all the way through. Harmony of Dissonance is pretty good, but Aria of Sorrow is like way good.
Yeah, Aria of Sorrow is the best one out of those 3.
It is. For sure. It's really good. It might be better than Symphony of the Night. I don't know if that's fighting words, but
I enjoyed it better than Symphony of the Night.
I did too. I'm on your side.
Don't fight me.
I liked it better. I will say that.
Make sure you add either of us on Twitter and come after us.
Yeah, do it. Dare you.
No, I agree with you, but
change my mind.
Yeah.
But granted, I didn't play Symphony of the Night until later. Like I didn't play it when it came out, so that's kind of like my opinion on it. I didn't play it until I got a PlayStation 3. I played it on the Virtual Console there, so that was basically. And I didn't play all the way through because I didn't like it as much as the other ones. But I loved the shit out of the Game Boy Advance ones. I did play through all of them except for Circle of the Moon because I bought it when the Game Boy Advance first came out, and it was pretty much impossible to play because of no backlight and being incredibly dark and all that. So it was, and the whole all the card system and like the random drop rates and all that, which I did try playing it again for our Game Boy. We did a Game Boy Advance release episode, and I did try playing it for that, but it's still really hard to do, even with the backlight and even on Wii U or whatever. But speaking of stuff like that, like you guys were talking about, Game Boy, Castlevania and all that stuff, and playing it on the handheld for the Wii U. Nintendo apparently has officially said that Virtual Console is not happening for the Switch.
Dead.
So it is completely dead now. So all that stuff you love to do on the Wii U, not going to happen on the Switch, even though the Switch is like the better version of the Wii U, pretty much.
I wonder what. That can't mean that they're not bothering to release any old games at all.
No, they are
for the Switch.
No, they are. That's part of our. That's part of another news item that they said.
Okay.
Yeah. They've given out the detail. Well, this is like our big news item.
Is it just the branding that's dead then for Virtual Console?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think the way you access it and the branding are like the two.
Yeah.
Well, they did
refer. That's kind of what I gathered.
They referred to the NES Classic and the Super Nintendo Classic as Virtual Console. So they did say that was a new form of it. So I guess that's where they're going with that. But also they've given out the details of their new online service that's coming out in August, right? Or is it it's September. But yeah, no, apparently it's going to have like 20 to 30 games available like Netflix style where you can play them, and they're going to have added online multiplayer and voice chat and all that, which is pretty cool. So I guess that's the way they're going to handle that. So they're saying that like there'll be 20 to 30 like Super Nintendo / NES games, but no talk of anything else like Game Boy Advance or 64 or any of that.
Man, I think it'd be like, as soon as I saw that though, I was like, man, and we knew there's going to be online play added. Like they said that a long time ago. But still, like the whole like controller passing thing. So like, how fun would it be to just be like hanging out and talking and like playing Zelda at the same time? Just like,
there's like
now you play this level. I hate this level, or you know what I mean? Like, but
there's going to be like
see how fast you can get through the game, like 2-player.
Yeah, there's going to be like a virtual controller passing. Basically, what you're saying is like where you can be like, oh, you play this part, and then I'll play this part, and you have to voice chat through your phone and all that. Which I figured that was still going to be the same. That was their whole thing.
Yeah.
But which is not the best way to do it. But I don't know, when Jeremy and I do our Splatoon thing, we just do it off Skype anyway, so we don't really. Yeah. I only use that app like one time and I only use it to look at like whether what modes are available in Splatoon and all that. That's all I really use it for. But. Mm-hmm. But, people still use like Discord and Skype and stuff like that. They'll find their way around to do a different voice chat. But it's really, like, I think that one of the most interesting things about it is that they're providing a cloud save, which is awesome for Switch. So.
Finally.
Yeah. And I guess some people have been throwing a fit about it. I don't really understand that. Personally,
it's not free.
I know, but it's not free on anything else. I mean, maybe Xbox, but who cares about that? Nobody bought that system. On PlayStation, you have to pay for it, though. I'm like, that's why I don't understand what the big hubbub is. Like, why,
So you can't have it for free on PlayStation?
No, you have to pay for it on PS3, you had to pay for it on PlayStation 4.
But, I didn't know that.
Yeah. No, that was what, I mentioned it before on the show. That was like one of the best things about PlayStation Plus, is that they will it'll automatically back up all of your files on its own. Like you set a timer on it and you say like do it at like 9 a.m. It'll like turn on, back up all your saves every day, sync all your trophies every day by itself. But you pay for this through PlayStation Plus. So who cares if it's not free? Like I guess you can do that on Xbox One. I mean, I don't have that or know anyone who wants one, but it's like, I don't know. It's not a big deal. Like people shouldn't be throwing a fit about it. Plus like the Nintendo thing is what, like $1.50 a month pretty much total, I think. $20 a year.
Nothing.
So it's like $20 a year. That's fucking awesome. Like that's like
it's a cup of coffee at Tim Hortons.
Yeah, it's cheap as hell. I don't understand why people are throwing a fit about it. I think it sounds great. I hope that there's going to be a good amount of like virtual console stuff on there, whatever they want to call it. I know they're not calling it a virtual console, but I'm excited to see it, and the whole like talking, passing the controller thing would be cool. Even though I'm afraid we're just going to see those same games that we always see though, Mario Brothers and whatever, Mario Brothers 1 and Urban Champion and
Urban Champion baseball,
and, ice hockey. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's going to be
the Nintendo.
A lot of games that focus on the 2-player co-op or non-co-op, but like where you take turns. But
I wouldn't mind playing like stuff like Tecmo Bowl online.
Cool. Tecmo Super Bowl.
That game.
I mean, you never see Tecmo Super Bowl on there because of the licensing stuff. But.
Yeah.
Well, regular Tecmo Bowl, sure, but
regular Tecmo Bowl was on the NES Classic. So
I play like
on VC.
Blades of Steel.
Blades of Steel.
Play Double Dribble. That'd be funny to play online.
Yeah. I don't think those.
All this would be just like great for. It's like a background thing to do while you're just talking to your friends. Like, hey, so what are you up to? Oh, I was melting different kinds of cheese today. See which one melts faster. But like at the same time, you're like playing Double Dribble. Yeah.
Is that what you?
We knew that before we started, but it was an excuse to play Double Dribble.
Right.
Is that what you talk to your friends online about?
Sure, man. I mean,
what kind of cheese have you melted lately?
While you play the inane game.
Well, yeah. Did you try melting that Gouda? Well, no, not yet. But pass me the rock, man. Double Dribble. No, it's it sounds pretty cool. I'm.
Hold on a second. I just dribbled cheese on my.
Yeah.
You double dribbled.
No, there goes your sample set.
Yeah, but I'm into it. I just want it to start, and I want to see how it goes. But I'm not upset about the whole Nintendo thing. It's cheap. The cloud saves is awesome now. So now you can use all of those third-party docks if you want to, and if you lose your shit, you can get it saved. So there you go.
Now you could just go crazy with the third-party shit.
Yeah, now you can fuck up your system all you want, and everything will be cloud saved. There you go. You got that.
Smash your Switch if you feel like it. You can get a new one.
This is completely like not a news topic thing, but I wanted to mention it to you. Was it Seth, the guy that was on your show, Nate, on the Midwest Gaming Classic episode?
Mm-hmm.
That Mortal Kombat novelization book that he got?
Yes.
I read through that when it came out. I bought it and read the whole thing, when I was in high school. I was like, oh man, like people like that still exists. I mean, everything still exists, but no, I bought that book when it was new and I read all of it when I was like 17. So.
Oh man. Well, we're going to have you on, and Seth on. You guys can do a joint book report on the Mortal Kombat novelization.
I mean, it's been a long time since I read it. I don't remember much from it, but I did read the whole book, and I don't read a whole lot of books, but I read that one. So that's pretty, gives you an idea of my taste in books.
Oh yeah.
But when I was 17, I read pretty much anything, so. Especially if it had Mortal Kombat in there. So, yeah, I totally bought that book and read through it, and it was hilarious. Fun stuff.
Was it a rated M book?
I didn't see a rating on it. I mean, it was a book, so it's fine.
Just a book.
Well, it was Mortal Kombat, so it would have been what, GA13? Is that what the Sega ratings were?
I don't know. I didn't.
They had the weird, like, GA and all stuff. Anyway.
Were there ratings for that? I didn't think the ratings came around until later.
For Mortal Kombat
I think they
2,
came as a result, of the first one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I don't remember, because I thought ratings were like 64 days, or even not until like Pig.
Yeah, well, Sega experimented in the early 90s putting ratings on their games, and they had their own little rating system before the SRB came in.
Oh, okay.
You can see it on some early Genesis packaging.
Sure. I have Mortal Kombat 1. I didn't see it on there, but I wasn't looking for it either, so.
Yeah.
It might be on there. Let's talk about the releases for the week real quick, and then we'll get to our topic.
All right.
Unless
I'll say there was one more piece of news related to the podcast. I got to promote this everywhere that we have our own subreddit now.
Oh yeah, we have a subreddit now for Nintendomain. So hey, that's our big thing.
/Nintendomain. So you know how to spell the podcast. You can find the subreddit. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, I put a couple things on there. I posted one of the Skies of Arcadia things. So
yeah, I saw that.
It took me forever to figure out how to post because I don't know anything about Reddit, but I finally
I don't
figured it out.
Reddit scares the crap out of me.
It's scary, but it's just another webpage. And
it's just another
people
promo,
are already on there doing whatever. They can just throw us on to their list of subreddits that they check, and we'll be on there on your page
for sure.
So yeah, subscribe please. I will try to post stuff regularly and make it interesting, but so far it's just a lot of our YouTube videos, really, which it'll be a good place to post links to that.
Anything that'll get more people to look at our YouTube videos is cool. So, it's weird, like what takes off and what doesn't with that. But
you can also, like, anything that we want to talk about with the news, we can just link to the article straight on there, and it'll be we could use the subreddit as our, like, notes for the episode, I thought, too.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
But yeah, that's a little behind the scenes for you.
Behind the scenes, yeah. Follow the subreddit and you can find out more behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
So, I just want to talk about the releases for this week real quick. Immortal Redneck comes out tomorrow, which I'm planning on getting just because it looks stupid. It's like a first person shooter. I mentioned it before. It reminds me of Serious Sam. Like same sort of
that game.
Crazy, shooting stuff. It's only like $15 or $20. Yeah, it's $19.99. So I'm planning on playing that. But, Terra Cresta, it's an arcade archive. Super Sidekicks 2 for Neo Geo is coming out. We need another soccer game on here. But, one that's of note is, that Garage game. If you remember, that was on the Nindies Direct, the last one that we saw. The one with like the zombie shooter, like the top down, like dual stick shooter. That comes out tomorrow, so.
Oh, yeah.
That one's pretty cool. It's $14.99.
I heard about that.
There was a weird, like a beat 'em up type game that came out. It's another Justice. It's not Crazy Justice, but it's called like Raging Justice or like Ultimate Justice or something like that. It had a weird price on it. Oh yeah, Raging Justice. It's $13.49. It's like another like Final Fight, Streets of Rage 2 like knockoff type thing. IGN talked it up, but I think it doesn't look great, but I couldn't bring myself to get it. But that one did get released on this week. So, I mean, I noticed there was a good amount of stuff for the 10th. The Fall Part 1 will come out for like 30% off. There's some other shit like 3-Force Home, Hyper Sentinel. I don't know either of those. Inksplosion, which sounds like a ripoff of Splatoon. But most importantly, the Raging Justice and Garage, and probably Garage will probably be the best one out of all of those, actually, to tell you the truth. But yeah, there's some interesting stuff coming up. I think that's about it I don't think there was any like new release dates added on here. I know that that Nightmare game has been added. We talked about that from one of the Nintendo Directs. It comes out like right before my birthday. Disco Dodgeball is on there too. It's like a first person dodgeball online thing, which looks kind of cool. Of course, like Harvest Moon and Street Fighter and all that other shit is on there.
Okay, now I'm looking at this game. This is the one you were just talking about. Garage is like Hotline Miami kind of.
Yeah, ish, sort of. It's like it kind of reminds me more of that. There was a zombie game like that for PlayStation 3 also that was cool. It was like top-down twin stick. It kind of reminds me of that as well, but it was a lot of people talked about it. Corey, when he was on our show and talked about PAX East, he mentioned it. So it's like part of that, of like all those games from the last, like, from that PAX East Nindy. It was Nindy Direct. It was on there. So it's always interesting to see like one of those like show up as a release and whatnot. Yeah, I think, is Ikaruga actually? Yeah. Ikaruga is on here now officially too. It's actually on the site. We talked about it last week. Comes out the 29th, but it's actually on the shop now for $15. So
awesome. Cool.
I mean, it's not officially out, but the release date is on there.
Good. The GameCube version is, not cheap.
Yeah, no, I like Ikaruga. I actually have the GameCube version. I bought it new when it came out, but it's not I wouldn't double dip on it if it was 60, but $15, fuck yeah. I'll do Ikaruga again. Why not?
And you can play in vertical mode.
You could, yeah. If you have like a weird holdy thing like we do, the new egg or whatever it's called. No, try one.
The try one.
Is there any other news that I forgot for this week? Did you know of?
Not to my knowledge.
I think I covered everything. I was going to say.
Yeah, I think you did.
I mean, it's the big news was the online service.
Mm-hmm. And them saying no virtual console.
Yeah, and fuck virtual console.
Yep.
All right, cool.
That's pretty much it, yeah.
Well, on the subject of fucking virtual console, or that word in general, let's take a break and get the Bible games. We'll have to clean up the language when we get there. All right, cool.
Let's get holy.
We'll be right back.
So you guys getting hungry?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Do you ever worry that they're playing too much Nintendo?
Oh, not anymore. See, Matt has Bible adventures. They're actually learning Bible stories while they're playing Nintendo.
Quick, get that Bible quote before you run out of power.
Bible Adventures features 3 games in 1 cartridge. Noah's Ark, Save Baby Moses, and David and Goliath. A must for every family with Nintendo. Call 1-800-77-BIBLE. That's 1-800-77-BIBLE.
So we all sort of have like we all have like religious backgrounds, right? Well, I mean, I met Jereme at Christian College. I don't think we've ever really talked about it on the podcast, but that's where that came from.
What college was that?
Lincoln Christian College in Lincoln, Illinois.
Yeah. Now it's called Lincoln Christian University.
Oh, really? Yeah, they want to try to prove to people that they're a real school. No.
Way to go, Lincoln.
Yeah. So we all have some sort of like religious background and whatnot. I was thinking about like we should talk about the first time that we ever like came into contact with a Christian game before we get into it. I just remember I don't know if you guys had this, but at my church they had like specific like it was like a Christian phone book that would like only show like, you know, businesses that were like of the Christian faith or like were from the church or whatever.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this was like a real thing. And I remember going to one of them and they had like Bible Adventures like for sale, like by the door. It was like an auto place. It was like a car repair place. And they were selling NES games like right there that were Bible games. And I remember like I didn't buy it, of course, but just looking at it and being like, holy shit, like this is a game? This is a real game? And I remember like looking at the pictures and stuff on it. And that was my first experience with Christian games. And I never really played it later until I got into like, you know, emulation and ROMs and stuff like that because I never bought one. But that was the first time I ever saw that. That was my experience, was seeing it at a, you know, quote unquote like a Christian car repair place. And there was like a Christian phone book thing that was like, I don't know how they put it together, but yeah, I found it at the church. It was like these are
directory.
People
they call it a directory.
Yeah, but like people who own businesses that are Christians, right? Yeah, like they're in there.
Usually the directory is just so you can talk to other people within the church.
Yeah.
This sounds like a Christian Yellow Pages.
Yeah, no, I mean we had the directory, but this was a different thing.
The directory is also so the photographers can make a bunch of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have an infamous picture of myself in the church directory because my tie didn't look right, so I started bawling. So there's a picture of me like crying, like in the church directory. So it was awful.
High school is hard,
the worst, you know. So like I'm like all like pouty and it would like, and that was like the only picture I think they ever took of my time at church. So Those kind of
those church directories, man. They took the picture of you, and that was it forever.
Yeah.
That's all you would ever get.
So it's kind of a sore spot with that because mine looked because I was all like sobby and all that. I was like, man, it's like worst picture ever.
I had a bowl cut. This was in 1994.
Oh, so I did too.
It never changed.
Prime bowl cut. Huh?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Prime bowl cut era.
So
BCE.
What are you guys' first experiences with Christian games or Bible games?
Well, like I said in the hot take at the top, or whatever you want to call it, the cold open. My grandma bought this for me, and she bought it for me and my brother. But it was pretty interesting because my grandma was always a super frugal lady. Like, she had 6 kids, and they were all kind of similar in age. Like, the age range was about, like, I think 9 years between all of them. So she basically had a ton of kids all at once and had to, like, live on the cheap, and she just was always like that, and she had grown up that way, and so Christmas was always, kind of slim pickings with her. She'd get nice, thoughtful gifts, but we weren't getting, like, extravagant gifts at all. Never a Nintendo game. Well, one day she was babysitting my brother and me. I would have been 9 or 10. I don't know. 8, 9, 10, somewhere around there. We had just gotten our Nintendo, and she called it a Nintendo set. She's like, they have a game for your Nintendo set at Coe's Book Cottage, which is the local Christian bookstore.
Oh, yeah.
So we go there. The game, I kid you not, was $50. This was, 1991, 1992.
That seems kind of cheap for that time, actually. Weren't like games like, I mean, they had ridiculous prices at the beginning, right? Because there wasn't really like a stock price, right? Like I remember 64 games going for like $90,
but
like when that released.
It blew my mind that Grandma was buying this game for me, but I remember even then knowing like something's off about this. Why is this game at the Bible store and it's nowhere else? And why does it look weird?
Yeah.
And why is Grandma just buying it? And she's like, well, I want you, to have good Christian games without violence and all this stuff. And so I don't think I was even all that excited, to be honest. Like, I was like, okay, well, thanks for buying us this game.
All right.
And of course, because, my grandma being frugal like she was, like, we had to take really good care of it. Of all of our games, it was the only one we like kept in the box with the manual and everything like all sealed up. And so when she'd come over, we'd be like, yeah, see, we don't ever play it. It's just in the box. But we did actually play it because that's how it was back in the day. You play the games you have.
I mean, it's a game, yeah. Right. I mean, you got
Grandma bought us a game. It had 4 games on it. She saw that as a value pack, and it was.
Yeah.
And or 3 games it wasn't 4. But yeah, that's my first exposure. I got it immediately after I saw it.
I never played them back in the day, those Bible games. I do remember, though, kids having them, like the friends from youth group or whatever, going to their house. In fact, I remember specifically going to a friend of mine who in youth group, and this was in the early 2000s. So the original NES was already packed up and away into the basement. Mm-hmm. And just rooting around in his basement, late one night as we were just hanging out and finding that weird powder blue cartridge that those Wisdom Tree games, often were cased in.
Yeah, see, I had the black cartridge. I wish I'd had the blue one. The blue one sounds cooler.
Yeah, I feel like those were in higher circulation, so yours might be a little rarer. Who knows? But yeah, I didn't play any of these until recently.
Well, you were missing out, I'm sure. Like when you played them, you're like, damn it, I wish I would have played this as a kid. Man, learned a lot.
Oh boy.
You could have carried all those animals.
I wish I had played Exodus over and over again.
Well, so let's be clear here. These games were one good thing to know, and I did a little research here. So
yeah,
they were one of multiple companies that were bypassing the lockout chip that was a controversial thing back in the late 80s, early 90s with the NES. Mm-hmm. You had to buy your actual cartridges from Nintendo. That was part of how they were making their money. They were releasing a lot of shitty games, to be frank, for a while. But the companies had to buy the games off of Nintendo. So these other companies discovered how to bypass the lockout chip, and one of them was a company called Color Dreams. Yeah. I don't know a whole lot about them, but they're the ones that ended up buying out Wisdom Tree, or Wisdom Tree was a division within that. I'm not completely sure, but
I think what happened, well, from what I read about it, was that so Nintendo also had a policy once people had figured out, once other companies had figured out how to circumvent the lockout chip, and they started making their own cartridges. Nintendo had lost some control. right?
Yeah.
Because the ball wasn't in their court. So what they did is they started to strong arm retailers and said, if you carry any of these unlicensed games, we won't give our games for you. We won't sell our games to you for you to put in your stores. Mm-hmm. So Color Dreams, gets kind of edged out and kind of muscled out, and they think, well, where could we sell games that Nintendo can't harass us?
Yep.
Christian bookstores.
Where they don't sell games.
And, sorry, go ahead.
Well, yeah, a lot of these games were like reskinnings of games they already had. These like religious overtones. So it wasn't really even, you would expect Wisdom Tree to be like somebody out of their basement was like, I want to make games about God. And they had this like grand concept about it and like pursued it. And that's why they're so homebrewy and everything. But no, it was an actual company that was like, hey, here's a corner of the market we can get because no one cares. And is Nintendo going to harass us? Do they really want like the Christian moms coming after them?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
They were already under the microscope from 1 Million Moms,
Right.
Yeah,
they couldn't afford that PR disaster.
They're in the same. I mean, it's not the same company as Tengen, though, right? Like Color Dreams isn't.
No,
but they both did like a similar thing.
Tengen was a division of Atari Games.
Oh, okay, but they were still doing the same thing where they got past, or they were making unlicensed cartridges.
Yeah, although they did it illegally. That's a very funny story,
kind of, right?
About Tengen, but unrelated to Bible games. So I won't spin that yarn.
Mm-hmm. So what were the 3 games that were on that then on Bible Adventures? There's like there's the Noah's Ark thing, right? Where you carry the animals.
Noah's Ark's probably the one that I enjoyed the most and that I played the most.
And Exodus is
the first one.
Which is the one where you can throw like the baby in the water. Like that's all I remember is the animals and the baby in the water.
It's either called Save Baby Moses or Rescue Baby Moses. It's hold on. Yeah, it's Saving Baby Moses.
Yeah.
But you are, I think you're Pharaoh's servant. I don't know if you're his mom. You might be his servant. You know what? You are the mom.
I mean, why else would you be saving the baby?
Either way, you're running around with the baby over your head, Super Mario 2 style, and you can throw him in the river if you want.
And nothing really happens after that, right? It just goes in the river. It's just like, okay, yeah. There it is.
Well, you can't beat the level because Baby Moses died, so it won't let you finish the level.
But it doesn't say game over or anything. It doesn't like stop what you're doing. You can like continue to play.
Nope.
Right? Yeah.
You just play until you try to leave the level and it says you can't.
Yeah.
Because Baby Moses is dead. But yeah, it's the first game that I know of that you could kill a baby. There may have been other games, but it's the first one I know of.
Wow. It's dark.
Yeah. So
I mean,
they go Wisdom Tree. Way to
yeah.
It's like the penguin in Mario 64, but
yeah, I'm just surprised because some of these games seem to have a real aversion to violence of any kind.
Yeah, right.
And
except for this Baby Moses one.
Except for that one, and I just lean into it, I guess.
I mean, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to get around that because the idea of the game is to like take this baby like from one era to the other and not let it get hurt. But at the same time, I mean, should they have just cut it out that you can throw the baby? Like maybe make it to where you can't throw the baby? Like you just hold it and if you die, the baby dies? Like, I don't know. They could have like maybe...
Or maybe the baby like trails behind you. Uh-huh.
Right. Or maybe like if, do it Yoshi's Island style, like what happens is the baby goes in the water and then, the Egyptians come up and take him away.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to die.
Yeah, right.
He doesn't just have to go sploosh and then be gone.
Right.
That would have been a crazy thing to do for the NES days, though, right?
But for some reason, you're fighting fighting giant spiders and what I can only think are Pharaoh's servants or his henchmen or whatever. They're Egyptian dudes, but they will stab Baby Moses with their spear if you set him down. They go after him. So it's not like you're the only one inflicting violence on this baby. Like if you don't hold the baby above your head, they start stabbing him with their spears.
Good Lord.
Those giant spiders were in the Bible, right?
The giant spiders too, by the way, who don't go after Baby Moses. They just try to attack the protagonist.
Yeah. And is that...
But spiders, at least, they know not to fuck with Moses.
I don't think I ever got past the first level. Does it continue like that? Like for the next, like how long are these games normally? Like,
I
like
never
5
beat
levels
any of them.
and then they repeat
the
or what?
The furthest I ever got, was in the Noah's Ark one, so you start out by collecting 2 of every animal, and then you do that for a few levels. But then it gets to where, like, and then collect 7 of each beast of burden, and collect 7 of each cloven-hooved animal, and collect 7 of each bird of the. So like then you have to collect 7 of each thing.
Yeah,
it just kind of escalates from there, and the level is the same every time. You just have to climb up, and certain things like will fall out of your hands when you jump, so you have to chase them down.
Yeah, it's man, N64 collectathons, eat your heart out.
And the music is probably the worst music I've ever heard.
On all of them, on all of those wisdom trees, they are repetitive. They're dinky. That's ugh.
But at least their music in a lot of these other titles and Bible Adventures, it's just like it's like random like beeps and blips. And when Trey recently
jazz,
well maybe
bad
really
jazz.
Old world jazz.
Yeah.
But no, Trey did a War Radio episode recently of First Levels, and I suggested that out of jest, like First Level.
I listened to it
because that's
and I'm like, that's not a good song.
Game. They just like all 3 of the games within the cartridge have that same music. So yeah, it's bad. But I did actually play all these games. I played a little bit of each one.
That's what I did. Yeah.
For research, right? And I didn't feel bad at all about emulating them because.
No.
I mean, how else are you going to get them?
It's so shady. Yeah, the back alley Bible store, whatever you want to call it, the Bible bookstore back alley way that they got around Nintendo. Like, you know, I see both sides of the story in a little way with Nintendo trying to strong arm everybody. You know, that was kind of shitty of Nintendo, but you know, it's still like of all things, like let's use God to sell video games.
Right. It's particularly crass.
Kind of pisses me off a little bit. But you know what? I had the game. I played it. But yeah, so emulators. Thank God for emulators because, you know, no pun intended. But thank God for emulators because we can play these. We can bootleg the bootleggers.
Yeah, that's right.
So what was the third game then? There was Noah's Ark and Baby Moses, but what was the other thing on there? You said there was 3,
David and Goliath.
Right? So do you get to like throw a rock at him, or like how does that work? Is there like some sort of sling thing that you can move around?
And then decapitate him after he falls?
Yeah. Eventually you get the sling. I don't think I've ever played that far, but
I don't remember.
Starts out like it's a lot like Noah's Ark where you have to rescue sheep because you're a shepherd for most of it. So you have to collect all your sheep and throw them into the sheep pen.
So they use the whole like Mario 2 pickup mechanic like pretty much through the whole thing.
All 3 of them are that way.
Yeah, I mean that's how you get how you can make 3 and not have to spend a whole lot of money on there.
And they have the same music, all 3 of them.
Did you guys? Apparently, it was released for the Mega. Was it the Sega Genesis? It was on also.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys ever play that version? I mean, is it any better?
That's the one. My wife was. I was talking to my wife about the topic that we were going to have today, and she mentioned that she would go to the Christian bookstore with her mom, and they would have a Sega Genesis hooked up with Bible Adventures on it.
That's amazing.
And that's what she played. So she would go play Bible Adventures on a Genesis while her mom looked at Point of Grace CDs.
PFR.
Some For Him.
Yeah.
And I really like,
DC Talk.
I like that it was on Sega Genesis, and I want to hear it because, you know, all the stories about how the Genesis sound chip's so different than the Nintendo sound chip. I want to hear what that sounds like in Genesis.
Probably a little bit more farty.
Yeah, I was gonna say it sounds really farty. It's basically like, you know, it's just basically like that's like how most Genesis. Don't get me wrong, I like Genesis a lot. I mean, there's a lot of Genesis stuff on
the cows are just like
Yeah.
There's a lot of Genesis soundtracks I love, but
I
think Jeremy Parrish said it that you put that sound chip in the wrong hands and
sounds like farts.
Yeah, it sounds real bad.
It's well, I have Streets of Rage 1 and 2 on record, so I mean there's some great music on there. So
love that soundtrack. But yeah, it was also they released some of them for MS DOS. You could get some of those games.
Oh, really? The Bible Adventures. Yeah.
Well, they definitely have that sort of glitchy, floaty
shareware kind of feeling. Yeah.
What goes with like 90s computer stuff.
Very shareware, you're right, because they're just ripping off the style of other games.
Didn't these games come out like after the Super Nintendo was already out too? Like, didn't it come out in like 91? I
think most of them did.
The Wisdom Tree did for NES.
Late. Yeah, they were founded. Wisdom Tree was founded in 91, so I had to have gotten that Bible Adventure game shortly after it came out. Maybe my grandma even like. There's a chance that she was reading news, reading articles about it.
Yeah.
She may have actually done some research, and that's why she like.
From the local.
But it was like I said. I mean, going back to that story, like it was just out of the blue. It wasn't like. Yeah. There wasn't anything special about it. She just was on a crusade to get us that game.
Huh.
And I thank her for it because fodder for this podcast.
That's right.
From the local Christian newsletter was like, Bible games, get it. It's good.
Yeah. So were there, Trey, did you play any of these leading up to this?
I didn't play them on the actual cartridge. Like I said, I just saw it in that auto repair place.
Oh, yeah.
But I did.
Well, I mean, leading up to this podcast, were you able to play anything on emulators or anything like that?
No, I didn't actually play any on the emulator.
Oh, come on, man.
I figured
we suffered.
Yeah, we'd go through the NES.
I'll let you guys do it, man. It's
Noah's Ark 3D.
It's your thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't play Noah's Ark 3D lately, but I did play
So Trey, did you? Not Trey. I'm sorry, Jer. Did you enjoy any of these games, like upon revisiting them?
Well, okay. I will say I stopped playing Spiritual Warfare shortly before we started recording, and I was actually kind of enjoying it.
Me too. That was the last one I played.
And I was like,
Warfare.
huh. Well, actually, I was playing, the last one I was playing before that was the fish game and a Sunday Funday, and that was kind of fun too in its own, like, punishing way.
Yeah.
But Spiritual Warfare actually was fun. It kind of reminded me a little bit of, Star Tropics.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
It reminded me a little bit of the Goof Troop game on Super Nintendo. Like, it was like a little bit of like, of course it's supposed to be like Zelda. But
right, but it's a little bit more linear.
It's got a lot more glut to it too. Like,
yeah,
it seems like there's just like they're trying to get all the fruits of the spirit in there and stuff, so they got to add a bunch of extra shit.
So
then the fruits of the spirit are actually different kinds of fruit. You can't just have a freaking pear. You got to have like an apple and.
Right.
So I've never played or heard of Spiritual Warfare. What is it? So it's separate from the 3-part Wisdom Tree, right? Is it its own cartridge? Or?
Well, it's definitely the best of all of these that I played.
Yeah.
Well, I played all of them, so yeah, it's the best one.
So
it's like a you think about like what would they say, like 5 Iron Frenzy is supposed to sound like Sublime or whatever.
No,
it's like this is supposed to sound like Zelda.
They don't sound like Sublime.
Yeah.
I would say they're better than Sublime.
No, but I'm just saying, like, what, like, if there was a chart, that's how they would have done the chart at the Christian music store.
Sure.
And so, you go around and you have bombs like you would in Zelda. And They work similarly, although you can shoot the bombs and they'll blow up, so you can kind of activate them yourself. But,
it's a little bit almost like Bomberman and how the bombs work.
Yeah.
To be honest. It reminded me of that, which was strange.
It wasn't bad. I actually kind of caught myself, wanted to keep playing it.
So, I don't know how far you played into it, but I had did you get the Belt of Truth?
Yes, I got that. And then I got to like the city area,
So
how far into the city did you play? Did you happen to see a bar?
No.
This is how far I got. So I got to where, I found a bar. And I go to the bar and like, it's like an enemy generation point. So it's a little bit like Gauntlet too. Cause like there's like these certain spots where like enemies will generate. And so out of the bar, of course the bar is just like all these people are pouring out of it. And when you hit them, they start praying.
Right. Because you're converting them. You're not killing them.
Sometimes a demon will come out of them as they're converted and you have to fight the demon also. So you kind of have to keep your eyes peeled like, all right, well, I just killed them. I saved them, but maybe the demon's going to come after me. And the demon's like, will like quiet you. But anyway, so there's this bar. So it's just a stream of enemies coming out. I'm like, yeah, killing a bunch of enemies, getting a bunch of doves because that's the currency of the game.
Yep.
And I go into the bar and there's an angel in there and the angel says, you have no business being in a bar. I'm taking back the Belt of Truth. You can find it in the slums. It literally said that. I had to go to the slums to get the Belt of Truth back because I went to the bar.
So do you have to, do you whip people with the Belt of Truth to convert them? Is that how it works, or
the Belt of Truth's like the power band in Zelda. It lets you push heavy objects.
You can lift like bigger, whatever. You can lift bigger books because of the Belt of Truth. Yeah. It's just funny. I was wondering like what the Belt of Truth would actually do for you.
The heaviest catechism.
The Belt of Truth makes it so you can't lie anymore. So you have to tell
that was where I stopped playing, and I stopped playing because I laughed a lot, and I'm like, it can't get better than this. Maybe it does though. That's why I want to keep playing. Like I literally got punished for going into a bar within a video.
It's evil.
With an emulator. Like somehow with all those degrees of separation, I still felt kind of guilty.
Yeah.
were you actually?
There was a certain kind of charm playing back through these games and hearing like 8-bit versions of hymns you grew up singing and all that kind of stuff. So there's a bit of a nostalgic twinge to it.
I couldn't place the music in Spiritual Warfare. Like I could in all the other games.
Some of it I could tell.
Like the Hallelujah within the quizzes I could tell, but. Yeah,
there was, what was the one hymn in Spiritual Warfare that, Jesus saves, Jesus saves.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, Jesus saves, Jesus saves.
So
I remember that one.
I don't know that one.
So like our God is an awesome God isn't on there? That's probably too new for that.
They're too old for that. These a bit more traditional tunes.
Yeah, no, that's the first thing I thought of when he said hymns. I'm like, I know that wasn't on there.
Yeah, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Except for in the case of For Him.
That's true, but they had a licensing deal, I'm sure of it.
Oh, did you look up any like pre-NES Bible games or anything like that?
No, I just was kind of hanging on to these. Basically, I just focused on Wisdom Tree.
Yeah, I checked out. There was one for the Atari 2600 called the Music Machine. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that, the Music Machine. It was like a children's records thing that the Sparrow Records did.
Was that what inspired the title for your podcast? The Memory
Machine
music came from Music Machine?
I don't know. You know what? I never listened to the Music Machine, but my wife did, and she is the person who I asked to help me name my podcast. So
okay,
maybe it was in her subconscious.
I mean, it's similar.
Yeah, but that one's basically just Kaboom. You know, if you've ever played that game.
Yeah, Kaboom.
Yeah, it's just Kaboom, but with the fruits of the Spirit. And so they're all dropping.
The fruits of the Spirit make such good video game items.
Yeah, it's great video game iconography because there's a bunch of them and you can assign point values. You know, because kindness, goodness, self-control, those are all different point values. And then like you have to catch the heart to finish the level. It was just Kaboom. I didn't play it very much. And then there was another Atari 2600 one, which was actually a recent discovery as of a couple years ago called Red Sea Crossing.
So this was a homebrew, or whatever you want to
call it. Well, it would have been it probably was a homebrew. It came out in 83. Some guy in Arizona made 100 of these and
well, that would have been 6 years into the 2600's life.
What's that?
Then the 2600 came out in 77, right?
Right. Yeah.
So it would have been like 6 years into its life.
Yeah. But yet not halfway through its life yet at that point. 2600 lasted, it was sold up until 1991. That game was just very simple. It's just get to the other side of the screen, avoid the obstacles while you do it. And on the top and the bottom of the screen, there's little fish and it's water to show you that, Moses is over the Red Sea. Yeah.
So it's like Moses did all this hard work and actually was able to part the waters of the sea, but he couldn't keep the obstacles.
No, he couldn't avoid the lobster that tried to get him.
That was always my favorite part of that story was the lobster part. I mean,
that
was always
the game is very incredibly rudimentary.
That's why you can't eat lobsters.
That's right.
I was really upset that
shellfish.
I was really upset that they took the lobster out of Prince of Egypt when that movie came out. Because that was the part that really made the story important for me, was the lobster part.
There's meaning to be gleaned from that.
Yeah.
So I played that and, there's not much to gain, but I did find something. I wish I had more time leading up to this. I found something called Computer Bible Games, which was a book that came out. And I don't know if you guys ever messed around with these, but back in the late 70s and early 80s, you could get these books from your local bookstore or your computer store, and they would have in them they would say like, computer games for your Commodore 64 or your IBM PC. And in them they would be program listings.
Oh,
yep.
Okay.
Line by line.
Yeah, line by line.
Oh, wow.
And so, you guys know about that, yeah?
Yeah,
My grandparents had an Atari, whatever that was, it the 5200 that was the computer one that came out after the 2600?
The 800, 400 and 800.
Oh, well, anyway, they had one of those, and yeah. I remember. I didn't do it, but my dad, I remember sitting there with my dad, and the whole family was gathered around. And this was like the mid-90s,
Yep.
They just bought it at a garage sale. My dad put in all this code so that a lightning bolt would strike.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's what, I had one of those type-in books too, like in the 90s, and my dad taught me how to program BASIC on QBasic. So that's
BASIC was cool, yeah. I did it on the Apple a little bit when I was a kid. I've forgotten it all, but.
It was a fun way to learn to program. But yes, so someone came out, for this book called, this company called Accent Publishing, which did a lot of like homeschool books, They released this book by a guy, Jay Conrad, and it's called Computer Bible Games, and it's a bunch of program listings for computer games based on Bible stories. And I really wish that I had a little bit more time because I was all gung-ho about typing one of those into my TI-99 just to report back to you guys and say like, here's the Exodus game. It took me 2 hours to type in, and then I played it for 5 minutes.
Like I said, if you put that on Twitch, I will totally host it.
Can you just copy and paste it?
No.
The book?
The book,
no.
yeah.
Can you run
scan it
control
some
a robotic set of hands to type it in for you?
I wonder that. I wonder about that. Maybe. Yeah. If you somehow jerry-rig the keyboard up to a USB interface, you can have it punch in the switches for you.
Oh, man.
No, I was just fascinated that existed. That just finding that and leafing through it it's on archive.org. You can look it up right now. It's all there. No one cares about its copyright. So
does it play can you stream it? I've been to there before.
I don't no, it's just the book. The book is on archive.
Oh, the book itself.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, none of the games are. So you can look at the book. It's all there.
Copy the code over.
Yeah, and I looked at the code, and none of it seems extra long to type in. I have a couple Commodore 64 books, and some of them give you machine code listings that you're supposed to type in, and I look at that, and it gives me a headache just looking at it. But these games look easy enough to type in. I probably could do it in an evening if you really, 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 really wanted to.
Do you know much about them? Like, does it give screenshots?
Yeah, I was going to say, what kind of games do you get from putting
it gives you diagrams of like what's supposed to happen in a given game. So it'll give you a little screen diagram, and it'll show, this little M represents Moses, and he's trying to get to the other side.
Oh, okay. So it's pretty simple then. Yeah.
Oh yeah, super simple.
Yeah.
It came out in '83, I think, when that book came out.
Yeah. So
those are my big
primitive
discoveries of researching Bible games and all that stuff. And I knew about the Music Machine game for the 2600. I was not aware of that book. It blew me away.
It's like fell into a rabbit hole there on that one. Just keeps going and going.
His son, I don't remember his name, but he still makes programming books. And in fact, you can go on Amazon right now and buy a Kindle version of Computer Bible Games if you were so inclined.
Oh wow!
Wow!
But he still writes. His son still writes like programming books for kids and things like that. Not necessarily Bible focused. In fact, the Bible focused stuff seems to be kind of on the periphery with what he's doing these days. So.
So you wouldn't really say it's his focus?
I don't think so. I didn't get that impression looking at his Amazon author list.
But yeah, mainly what I researched was just all the Wisdom Tree games because Wisdom Tree put a bad taste in my mouth from the very first time I played. I played that game, and I've kind of had a lifelong love-hate relationship. Well, there's really not much love. The love comes from the memories.
Yeah,
they're not great memories, but at least they're nostalgic,
Yeah, there's a nostalgia there. Which one would you say is the worst one that you played?
Oh, good question.
Because I'm going to say Exodus.
Yeah, Exodus was pretty bad because of the hearing Father Abraham play over and over again.
Oh my word!
Oh god!
Yes.
But you have to collect the mana, and
it's so dull. It's so exceedingly dull.
Oh, and you have to get all the question marks and all the mana, and so you have to go back and blow up all the blocks to make sure you get all the question marks. So yeah, that was pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I think I'm there with you. I think if either King of Kings or Bible Adventures had been just a single game, maybe they'd be the worst. But they gave you value.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, at least there was some. I don't know. The thing that gets me about Exodus is that there's clearly a game mechanic there that could work, that you could turn into it. But the people who were making this had no idea how to do level design. So, they have a thing where you got to collect all the mana, but it's in a giant spiral, and it takes you a minute and a half to go around that whole spiral. Probably not that long, but it feels really long. And it's just, at that point, it's pointless.
Yeah, you're right about that. They didn't have any concept of games like level design, and I think that was also really apparent in what game was it? Bible Buffet, the board game.
I did not play that one.
I only played one player, but for instance, so it's a little bit like Proto Mario Party, I will say, a little bit. It's not a mini game. It's not competitive. Like the mini games themselves aren't competitive. But it's got top-down view, gauntlet style stages. So you spin a spinner, but I'm not kidding to say it takes 20 to 30 seconds for the spinner to finish spinning.
Ugh, gross.
So this is each turn. You can have up to 4 players somehow. I don't know how that works. I guess you could share controllers since it's not simultaneous play. Yeah. But then you do that, and then your guy moves X amount of spots depending on what you spin, and then you play a short top-down level, but I say short, but it still might take 5 minutes to complete if you want to collect everything, which there's a bunch of vegetables you can collect, which that's the point of this game. You have to collect a bunch of vegetables to get points, and it displays them in pounds. You kill tomatoes and you collect them, and I don't really understand. I think maybe you're supposed to be in Canaan or whatever, Canaan, the land of Canaan.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I didn't actually look up the story to find that out, but I get this bounty kind of idea from it. But of course, along the way, you're hey, you have to answer Bible trivia questions, and I think that those trivia questions are in a separate book that you need to have, because it's it refers you to a module, and I'm like,
oh, does it? Oh, gross.
You have to put in the number and stuff like that.
Yeah, it seems all those Wisdom Tree games had a trivia thing to it, because there was no way to really get across any sort of Bible message in these simple arcade games, So the only
Bible
way
Adventures didn't have trivia, so the items you would collect would have just Bible verses on them. But they ended up turning those same items, the little tablets, are your energy for your character, and they turn those into trivia. So you would collect one, and then if you answer the question wrong in King of Kings, or which other one was it? Yeah. But yeah, if you would answer the question incorrectly, they wouldn't give you the extra point.
Mm.
So yeah, they turned those into trivia, and the trivia was basically how they could convince parents these games were about God.
Yeah.
You actually learned things, right?
How'd you do on the trivia?
I did really well on the trivia, except for when there were some on King of Kings, because I was playing where you have to find Jesus, because Jesus disappears, and you're Joseph looking trying to find Jesus when they end up finding him later on, and he's hanging out with his friends or whatever.
Oh, or when he's at the temple talking
he's at
the rabbis, yeah.
He was missing for 3 days. They keep asking you that question.
Yeah.
Are they have you found Jesus yet?
No. I'm Joseph, and I'm basically running around, and it's like the first level of Mario 2, where you got the logs at the top of the waterfall. Mm-hmm. Except that's the whole game. It's going along the logs on the waterfall. But when you get one of those little tablets, it's a trivia question. So if you get it wrong, then you don't get the point. But it'll be a Bible verse, and it'll say Hebrews 12:7 or whatever, and you might, it's a true or false, and I'd be like, true, no, wrong, it was Hebrews 12:8, that kind of thing. So it's oh really? Come on.
Yeah.
Boo.
Gotta have it on the fucking verse, right?
Yeah.
Which I guess I could have cheated by getting my Bible out, but, that's something about cheating with the Bible feels wrong.
Yeah, right. So how long did Wisdom Tree go for? I know that they did the Super Noah's Ark game for Super Nintendo, which is probably one of the first games that I got when I ever figured out what an emulator was in college, like when I first downloaded an emulator for my computer. One of the first things I looked for was the Noah's Ark game because I had heard about it. I think
Wisdom Tree still exists.
Do they?
Yes.
As far as I know. It's owned by Pico Interactive, right?
Are they still making stuff?
Mm-hmm.
I know there was like a Bible game for PS2, but I don't think that was through them.
Basically, they've just found different outlets for re-releasing a lot of these games.
Yeah, they re-released Super Noah's Ark 3D through Pico Interactive.
Then I think they did a limited run, not through limited run games, but they did an actual cartridge of the Super Noah's 3D Noah's Ark kind of recently. So I mean, they're still capitalizing off of the effed up nostalgia that we have about these games, which are all terrible. They're not good games.
Except for Spiritual Warfare, that one's okay.
It's okay. I'll give you that. Yeah. The music, you gotta turn the music off. Right. You definitely gotta turn the music off.
I think you should.
But it is enjoyable watching people pray when you hit them with fruit.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what I always thought of, like witnessing to people is basically hitting them with fruit and then they start praying. That's what I always imagined mission work would be. That's what they do in other countries, right?
But I actually kind of still want to get, I kind of want to get a hold of one of these. I guess they made a plug and play kind of thing like the NES Classic or whatever, more like the Pac-Man one where it's the controller with the games in it. But they've got one with all the Bible games on it that you can get.
Is the controller
I don't know if I really want it, but I kind of want it.
Is the controller at least shaped like a Bible or anything? Is there any sort of cool
is
design on it?
Cross, a crucifix?
Yeah, right.
Oh boy. Yeah, it kind of, playing those games, it just kind of reminded me of what Christian pop culture was like in the early 90s, when it feels like a more innocent time. I don't know if that's true.
The age of Ray Bolt, Michael W. Smith.
Oh boy, Michael W.
Carmen.
Smith and his amazing sweaters. Yeah, and before the age of Rebecca St. James and all that.
Rebecca St. James.
Yeah. Oh man, that's right. I actually remember going to see Rebecca St. James in 2002, and I was at a Christian music festival. And the only reason I went to go see her is because one of my buddies said, "Yeah, she is a fox." I said, okay, fine. Let's go see Rebecca St. James.
Even in 2002,
I was unaware of her pro-virginity crusade at that point, which
abstinence.
It's kind of funny in hindsight.
It's the only way.
Yeah, I do remember my parents talking about that. This beautiful girl, she could not be a virgin, but she is. It's isn't that anybody?
That's her whole thing.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell me that I should like this musician because she's not fucking anybody. Why is that a good thing?
It's very, very weird in hindsight when you think back to some of that stuff. But yeah, it reminded me of that time period a lot.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: our co-host that's actually gone, that I didn't even mention, our third person, John. He's in Disney World right now, so he wasn't able to be with us this week. But he asked that we mention the. Did you ever play the Bible for Game Boy? There was a King
James Bible.
Yeah. That you could just play on the Game Boy straight up. Wanted that to be mentioned. I just looked it up and it's selling for almost $900 on Amazon for that.
For real?
What?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I see it.
There's a copy. I have a copy of that game. For real?
Oh, really? Of the Bible? Of the Game Boy Bible?
Amazon's not a place to look. Look at eBay. It's a better place to look for.
Yeah, but $800 is still pretty. I don't know. I mean, how many people do you think actually have that? I'm surprised that you even have it. How did you get that?
I inherited a neighbor's Game Boy collection, and he had that, and he had the Joshua game, and I never played them. I just kind of was like, oh, here they are. I will never ever play these.
I mean, you basically, you would just basically be able to read the Bible, right, through your Game Boy, is what I understand would be the most, and you didn't even try it?
King James.
Looks like it's worth at least probably $200.
Jeez.
You didn't even look up
eBay's saying it's worth, 200 is about the running.
Wow.
Buy it now level for cartridge only.
Shoot. I'll have to sell that sucker. I gotta.
Yeah,
pre-owned. Still recouping some costs from the Midwest Gaming Classic.
Maybe you should sell your Bible.
Sell
Maybe
my
you
Bible.
shouldn't. Yeah. I don't know, man.
This is what Jesus would want.
Yeah, if it's in good shape, you can get $400 or $500 for it. It looks like. Well, if someone wants to pay for it.
Good night.
But that's what it's saying it's worth.
Good
you
night.
Probably have to sell it for less to actually get someone to buy it.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I did with my Bucky O'Hare cartridge.
Oh.
Yeah, I sold, well, I bought it a few years ago for $15 because it was worth $15 then, and then it shot up in value and
nice.
Sold it for $100.
That's
like stocks.
Yeah.
Buy low, sell high.
Yeah, no,
buy low, sell high.
I mean, that's probably
That's
the
right.
best, that's probably the best story I've heard of, flipping, video game stuff.
The only time it's ever worked for me.
Every time it ever worked,
Well, that and, a couple, Genesis shmups that I bought. I bought them real cheap, just a few years ago because they weren't worth anything then. And then all of a sudden now they are. I don't know. It's weird.
Are they like treasure games?
No, Elemental Master was one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I bought that for $30 5 years ago because that's really what it was worth then on eBay. It was worth $30. And now it's for some reason worth $80. I don't know.
Wow.
It's weird.
Nice.
Yeah, it's
shit
weird.
happens.
I don't know why all of a sudden the price jump. But
Then it's just going to keep happening with cartridges, man.
I know it drives me nuts.
some of them.
I mean, when I was looking at this is a total aside here at this point, but when I was looking at the game prices of the Midwest Gaming Classic, I was just like, guys, this is getting out of hand. Like, I understand you want to mark it up a little bit, from time to time, but $40 for Sonic 2 on the Master System, like, let's cool it a little bit.
There were some pretty crazy prices there. I mean,
yeah.
I was kind of pissed at the Super Famicom and Famicom games that were just they were wrapped in plastic and they were trying to sell them for like
and sold for like $40.
Yeah.
But I had seen them elsewhere. I'm like, really? I'm not going to pay $40.
Well, we bought them last year for like $3 each. We bought them for nothing.
I'm not paying $15 for Famicom Load Runner. Like, that's not happening. But anyway,
so you
Bible
never,
games.
so you never even tried the Bible Game Boy one. Like you didn't even pop it in.
Not even bother with it.
I would have at least I would
imagine the interface is terrible.
I was going to say I would at least like want to pop in there and read like that my favorite verse about the like horse penises. I'd just go straight to that one and read it.
Which one? Where's that one?
It's in Ezekiel. It's there she lusted after her lovers whose genitals were like donkeys and whose emissions were like horses.
Oh,
it's either one. It's either one or the other. Yeah,
Ezekiel 23:20. That's going to be the title of this episode.
That's my favorite verse.
My favorite was always 2 Samuel chapter 2 when Elisha goes up onto a mountain to pray, and a bunch of shithead kids start making fun of him for being bald. So then Elisha calls out a bunch of bears to kill the kids.
Yeah.
That's
a Christian way to do things.
It is the Christian way. Well, not so much the Christian way, but the
I'll show you bears.
With the barbaric Old Testament times.
Yeah.
No, that's a clue to you all reading the Bible. Historical context.
The Ezekiel stuff's pretty amazing because it's all about like, it's just mostly about giant dicks, like for that whole chapter.
And emissions.
It's funny because in the King James version, it changed, emissions is issues, which I think is funny. It's like the issues are that of donkeys. It's like, okay.
Now we're subscribing to what your car makes.
Yeah. Yeah, because that would be a thing that I would always read if I ever found a Bible. And like, when you find the ones in the hotels, it was like it's like, oh, issues. Okay. It's different. It's kind of almost funnier in that way.
Yeah. I'll make sure to mention that to Katie tomorrow.
It's a fun read. I mean, that whole,
so I want to say,
chapter is amazing.
We didn't mention this earlier, but we were talking about Exodus and how it plays Father Abraham over and over again.
Yes.
There's actually a sound test in that game, and that's the only one that had a sound test out of all these games. Mm-hmm. So if you want to listen to Father Abraham over and over again, you can go into the sound test menu, and it's in there. And there's like a few other songs, but they're all like just the sounds of like dying or like beating the level.
Oh, yeah.
The main song, Father Abraham, they made a whole like sound test menu, so you can listen to that over and over and over again. Uh-huh.
I guess they like that song, the guys who put the game together, right? So they're like, oh, we got to hear this whenever you want, all the time. Well, you could put it on and sing it with your children or something.
Yeah.
Or if you're a youth group leader or whatever.
There you go.
But I mean, I took some somewhat detailed notes on all these games, but honestly, they're all kind of the same. They're kind of crappy clones of other games. Like, so, within like, the King of Kings, which I was mentioning earlier, it's like it's kind of, I'd say the sequel to Bible Adventures because it's another three pack and it's supposed to represent the life of Christ. So it starts out with, the three wise men and you're riding a camel that spits acid or something. I don't know, but the camel spit kills people and it plays, We Three Kings the entire time, but in a really bad loop.
Great.
Yeah. And then you play the, Escape to Egypt where you have to take Jesus to Egypt. Or a Flight to Egypt is what it's called. And on that one, you're riding a donkey and your attack is that the donkey kicks backwards, which is kind of cool. I kind of like that one. But it's playing, Go Tell It on the Mountain, and that's terrible. That you have to hear that song over and over again. So
did you guys
I think the highlight of that was definitely the one where you're Joseph trying to rescue Jesus, and the bees are trying to kill you for some reason.
Did you guys ever play the Bible game on Game Boy Advance or the PlayStation 2? It's not a wisdom tree thing, but looks like you can buy it for like $5 on eBay. But
well, Trey, why don't you go grab it and let us know?
I mean, I might. I actually just
Give
might
us a little
because
report.
it's cheap as hell.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm interested because I'm curious. Like, there has to be like some sort of Christian game after Wisdom Tree, right? Was there like what's probably like the most recent one that you found, or did you guys find anything?
Binding of Isaac.
Binding of Isaac.
Yeah, right. Sort of.
I didn't look that forward. I just kind of kept it to more retro.
Sure.
Fair.
I'm just curious. Like, are people still trying to push that stuff? I mean, it obviously didn't work before.
I could only imagine. Look up on. I'm sure if you look on your app store or whatever, there's a bunch of them. There must be.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, they've probably just gone to iOS now.
Oh yeah.
It's where
I'm sure it's littered with that crap.
With Christian games.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it kind of just, aside from like Noah's Ark 3D, it just kind of like just died out after that. Or at least I didn't really hear about it. I mean, you don't see any like 64 like Wisdom Tree games or anything like that. Even though I would love to see
I think
a 3D version
I imagine
of
probably what happened is, those Wisdom Tree games were made with few personnel. Mm-hmm. And when you get to things like Sony PlayStation and N64 that require larger teams to make a game.
Yeah, they just can't afford it.
They did not have the budget. So yeah. I think that's probably why you don't hear a lot about Christian games coming out after that point. Yeah.
So I thought it would be interesting also to mention here, like, obviously, I think a lot of these games were funded by people that didn't play video games in the instance of like my grandmother buying the game for me.
Yeah.
But it was only 320 backers that funded the Kickstarter campaign to make that arcade plug and play I said.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Over $25,000 from 320 people.
I don't get it.
I think that there had to have been like people that were doing that, like, oh, it's a good Christian game.
It's good. Yeah. It's good for the children.
Or was it people that really cared about these games? I don't think it was that.
Or it's just collectors who are just like, it's another thing that's coming out and I have to have it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They're like, we need it. You need to buy it to go to heaven and not hell, or something like that. Do you guys have any final thoughts on Christian games here?
Sorry.
Do you want to talk about Super Noah's Ark, or do you want to?
Oh, we mentioned.
I have nothing to say on Super Noah's Ark. I did not play it, but if you do,
I mean, I played it. I mean, I haven't played it recently, but I did play it. Like, when I was in college, when I first found out what emulators were and all that. I downloaded that because I feel like I heard about it. I must have heard about it through Nintendo Power or something because I read about it like not online or anything. And I looked it up and it's, it's a really bad version of Wolfenstein with some really crazy animals that you gotta shoot sleeping pills into. It doesn't necessarily play well. I kind of hoped that it would, but it doesn't at all. So it was kind of like one of those things where I played it for a little bit and I was like,
But it was the only, I'm looking at Wikipedia right now. It was the only.
Well, not anymore, but
unlicensed Super Nintendo game made, commercially released for the Super Nintendo.
I think you had to.
Made by Wisdom Tree.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you had to put another cartridge on top of it.
You did to get past it. Yeah. You had to treat it like it was like a Game Genie or like a Sonic and Knuckles kind of.
Yeah, I remember
it would use that other cartridge's pass through to let the Nintendo see it.
Yeah.
So of course I never owned that game, nor I may have played it on an emulator, but I've never played it on the actual hardware.
I want to start a Kickstarter for Noah's Ark 3D on Switch. In 3D, no.
For some reason, you could probably get that funded.
Yeah. I mean, if it came out on Steam already, so it's going to be on the Switch. Yeah, right. Anything on Steam is going to go to Switch eventually.
Yeah, maybe that's what that garage game is. It's really some biblical thing. Yeah, no, I mean it.
God's garage.
Yeah, I feel like these games are of a time, where we just won't really see them again, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing, but
it was exploitation.
Yeah. But it is interesting. I remember playing the NES ones just for the fact of like laughing at them and being like, can you believe this was something that was made, on emulators or ROMs or whatever,
I'm going to try to buy some of these because the history of them, if they're cheap enough, I'm going to try to buy a couple of these.
I mean, you could buy them. I remember you could buy these new for a long time, way past
for nothing
when it would have been, when you would have seen any NES games in stores.
Mm-hmm. Well, hopefully,
I remember seeing them as late as like 2003. You could still buy a brand new NES cartridge.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, we can always come back and have a report of our Bible game purchases next week or something.
Oh, for sure.
But
sure.
And hopefully we'll have you on again for something that isn't necessarily Bible game related.
I would love it.
But just that we all have past with Christianity and all that. That'd be a fun topic to talk about. But if there's not anything else you guys want to say about Bible games, I say we start wrapping it up.
I'm into that.
I gotta go to bed.
So I just want, why don't you give our plugs real quick, or your plugs, Nate, where people can find you and what you do with your podcast?
Well, I do a podcast called The Memory Machine. It's how do I phrase it? It is a historical, pop cultural, anecdotal podcast. And which means that, we'll go through a different pop culture history topic and ruminate on it for about an hour and a half, share anecdotes, talk about history. I'll usually have a couple guests on, people who know what they're talking about. You can find it on memorymachinepod.com. You can find it there. If you're looking for it on iTunes or some other RSS feed, it's under the Geekiverse feed. So if you look under the Geekiverse, you'll find it there. Because they all funnel their podcasts through one feed because hosting is expensive. That you can follow me on Twitter at Nate, Nate _ Lockhart, LOCKHART. I'll tweet about old stuff and being mad about the world and all that fun stuff.
Don't we all?
And if you happen to be in Buffalo the weekend of May 19th, I will be doing a live Memory Machine podcast at the Nickel City Comic-Con with a special guest, James Rolfe, the Angry Video Game Nerd. So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's badass that you got him.
If you,
that's really cool. I'm going to listen to that for sure.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it.
I imagine you'll release it as an episode. Yeah, it's not
yeah, absolutely. Okay. We'll be talking about our favorite firsts in video games. So if anybody out there, if you guys have a favorite first in video games, you can email it to me at memorymachinepod@yahoo.com. There you go. And yes, I did choose a Yahoo email. What of it? Email me and tell me why I'm wrong.
At me.
You might get a email from me.
There you go.
You might get an email from either of us.
I wish you would.
I hope you mention your first experience with Christian games. That's why I did it on here, so you could do it on there too.
Well, I don't see why not.
I'll try to diverge from that topic, but I might think of something cool. But yeah, I got that written down. I think one thing that I think is important though about this episode is that we got to go out on For Him the Ride.
That's right. It's got to happen.
Hopefully the chiptune version, if you can, Trey.
I'm not promising anything.
It's on Sunday Funday.
Yeah, you have to send it to me or something. Thanks for being on the show, and thanks for staying up and all that. We really appreciate it.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah, it was a pleasure on our side as well. We'd love to have you again.
Thanks for this extremely niche topic. I'm happy we could do this.
I love niche topics.
And of course, Jeremy and I are available for guesting if you ever need anybody for your podcast.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Absolutely. We just got to figure out a good topic.
Sure.
Make it happen.
For sure. We're your hosts. I'm Trey. I'm Trey Johnson. And Nate.
Nate.
Yeah.
Nate. I'm Nate.
And Nate also. And you can find us at NintendomainPodcast.com. You can download our podcast from anywhere that you can, the podcasts are sold. And we have a Reddit now, as Jeremy said earlier. You can find that Nintendo Main Reddit. However you find that in Reddit stuff. Yeah, you can find, my Twitter is Nintendo_domain. You can follow me there. I think Jeremy's is what? JMaxSack, right?
Yep.
JMaxSack. You can see us post about shit and all that. YouTube.com/Fingmater, FINGMATER. That's our YouTube channel. And you can watch us on Twitch at twitch.tv/Nintendomain Podcast. We'll be doing a thing for Splatoon this Friday night, and I'll be doing a new Switch Game Thursday thing tomorrow as well. So come by and check it and hang out and all that fun stuff. And I have another podcast called The Honey Darling Show where we talk about genre movies and whatnot. We just did an episode about Infinity War, so if you've seen that movie and you want to hear people talk about it, listen to us on that. And thanks for listening. We'll catch you next week.
See ya.
Bye.